Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ellie Feldman. I'm the Managing Director of Wingman Insurance, and I'm joined by my colleague, Brad Schrum, who is our Head of Sales and Underwriting. We are here to talk a little bit about cyber liability insurance. First off, I want to thank the IIAT for allowing us to talk to you guys. We have partnered with them to be a provider of cyber liability insurance and assistance for their agency members to write more cyber liability insurance for their customers on a going forward basis. So I hope we can add some value to each of your agencies, and we're going to try to start today. We're here today to talk a little bit about why it is imperative for everybody to be selling cyber liability insurance already. We hear a lot about cyber liability, but why really? What are the real reasons why we need to be selling it every single day? And I hope by the end of this, you'll have a better understanding of that. So let's start by walking through some of the most common reasons each of you guys should be selling cyber to all of your insureds. I want to start by talking about cyber in the news, and it's an interesting idea. You can't open a newspaper, a website, anything today without seeing some article about cyber liability, whether it be news of a recent data breach that's affecting you and probably everyone else you've ever met, or if it's a trade publication or a conference. It's now become a hot topic, not just in the insurance world, but in the business world as well. Many of your insureds are getting inundated with information that they probably don't understand about cyber risk. And it becomes our job as their trusted advisor for insurance to help them through and understand what that means and what it means for them. So, reason number one, why I sell cyber. This is probably the most obvious one out there, but the risk is there. And we get this a lot, and we talk a lot about statistics, which aren't always helpful, but these guys are some big numbers, so stay tuned. First off, 43% of cyber attacks target small business. That number is almost close to 50%, we think, for 2018. So what that's telling us is while all of those news articles I just mentioned might be about Macy's and Target and credit card companies, really, the targets are equally your customers, typical businesses, anything under really 100 million in revenue. They are just as much at risk as a huge company to actually have a cyber breach. But the problem is the next number, which is 77% of small businesses and medium-sized businesses don't actually believe they're at risk. So we have a disconnect in educating our insureds on where the risk is and that it is there for them. Now, here's the scary numbers. 50% of businesses reported a data breach in the past 12 months. 50%. It's a crazy number. And here's the scary statistic that goes with it. 60% of small to medium-sized businesses go out of business within 6 months after a cyber breach if they don't have any protection. The costs are crazy high, and we'll get into more of that later, but it is causing businesses, your customers, to go out of business because they're not adequately protected. So the risk is there. We're seeing more and more data come out every day in insurance trades and industry trades about data breaches and cyber attacks that are hurting businesses. And now we have to explain what that means for them. Reason number two, and I just touched on this, it costs a fortune for your customers. What am I talking about here? On average, it's roughly $3 million for a cyber breach incident, soup to nuts, if you've had an actual data breach. But that's not even the cost that we're talking about here. Costs range in a cyber breach from notifying your customers of the actual breach, which is on average $225 per record your client maintains. So think about that. If they have 1,000 customers, that's $225,000 right there. But it's also business interruption, lost income because they've had to shut their computer systems down for days, if not weeks, to get them fixed and back up and running without whatever caused the data breach to begin with. It's reputational harm loss. So lost business because people find out that they were the source of a data breach. The list goes on and on. So the costs of the cyber risk are increasing every single year. It makes it more and more imperative that a cyber policy is sold to each commercial insured. Reason number 3 is that it affects every single business. If you're not selling it to your customers, someone else will, because at this point, there is no industry that is immune. Let's get into a couple of those industries and what that means. We have what I politely refer to as the low-hanging fruit of the cyber world, and those are healthcare companies that know and have understood HIPAA and the rules and regulations of keeping data private for a long time and are getting wise to the fact that there are options for them to ensure that risk. So any healthcare related entity is someone who should absolutely have a cyber policy. So that goes from your doctor's office or vet clinic in town to your local hospital system to people who do the billing and medical practices, record keeping for those people. But what other industries are affected? The answer is all of them, the scope that you see here. Hospitality and retail are big ones. Think about how many credit card swipes are at your local bar every year. Think about the records for hotels, passport numbers, driver's license numbers, potentially, that a hotel might maintain. Think about manufacturing companies. This is an interesting one that has been a real hot topic in the news of the last year or so. More and more manufacturing companies rely on interconnected machines, and they are connected by software. And if that software is affected by a computer virus, malware, then their systems could go down and they're unable to actually use and operate the machines to make their products. Believe it or not, that's a cyber risk that can be insured. So there really isn't many industries out there that aren't affected. I mean, there are some that are harder to sell to. If you find a way to sell to a construction company, I want to hear about it. But other than that, real estate agents are a big one. Anybody who works in finance, so that's your local accounting offices, your financial planners, anything like that. These are all people that have law firms that all have access to huge amounts of very important data about their customers, and you can help them insure that risk with a good cyber policy. Reason number 4 is a really important one, particularly for us here, and you guys will understand this more so than anyone because of your relationship with the IIAT. E&O proof yourself and your agency. It has become more and more common to feel the need to explain to all clients that they need a cyber policy and to get proof that you've done that, so that if they have a data breach, they don't come back to you and say, why didn't you sell me a cyber policy? Because 50% of businesses had a cyber breach in the last 12 months, if you're not trying to sell it, whether or not they even choose to purchase it, you could be at risk for for an E&O claim against your agency. We've had this come up so often that we've worked with some of our agency members to craft one sheet, if you will, to explain to customers the risk in as succinct way as possible and have them sign on the dotted line saying they understand that you are telling them to buy this policy and they're opting not to do that. And then you can take that piece of paper and put it in your underwriting file. We have a couple of handouts available to you guys, part of this webinar. The one that I would tell you to download right now is called the Cyber Declination Letter. It is a Word document that you can add your logo and information to and give it to every single customer and have them sign it if they choose not to purchase it. Miranda is telling me that she's having trouble downloading that document. If that's the case, Miranda, I'll be sure to email it to you and everybody else after the session. Guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the box. I'll keep taking them as they come up, and then we'll have a nice big Q&A at the end. So if you're having issues with the handouts, just let me know, and I will make sure to get them to everybody. But the declination letter is a great way to start. Number one, getting used to making sure you're attaching a cyber quote to each policy and covering yourself in case that client says, I didn't know I needed this. Reason number 4 is a really interesting one. And this one, reason number 5, this has come up a bunch recently, and we have found a lot of success with this, and that's differentiation. It works 2 ways. Number 1, for your existing clients, if you are offering them cyber either midterm by saying, look, we've not really talked about this in the past, but I've been thinking about it, and I really think you need to look at this kind of policy because of the nature of your business, then you are going to show to your customers that you are up on what they need and you are servicing them well. The converse to that is someone goes into your client's office midterm and says, is your current agent talking to you about cyber insurance? And if the answer to that question is no, you're at risk of losing that customer to somebody else. So let's stay ahead of the curve and make sure that we are different from anybody else on the block by offering all our customers the best cyber coverage available. And now I have what I like to call the bonus reason. One of the many excuses we hear in the industry about why businesses are not buying cyber insurance is that they think that they have coverage some other way, whether it's from a credit card swipe company or, internet providers. We've heard all of them. And the biggest one is probably they've got a BOP policy and it's got some cyber coverage included in those, so they don't need it. That's not enough coverage. Cyber risk is incredibly diverse. It changes every single day, and offering a really broad policy to your customers is going to ensure that they're covered. Typically, a BOP add-on will have maybe anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 in breach notification costs and maybe $10,000 for legal expenses and forensics. That wouldn't prick the tip of the iceberg of what an actual claim would cost if that customer ever actually had a data breach. And so this circles back to that previous comment about E&O proofing yourself. If your customer maintains any number of records, if they would be unable to make money if their computer systems, email systems, phone systems, whatever it might be, would go down, then they need a full-blown cyber policy, a standalone policy that is going to protect them for anything that might come up. So don't let your insureds become a statistic, because if 60% of small businesses that have a data breach are out of business in 6 months, it's not a great way to keep customers for the long haul. So then we have to ask ourselves a very important question. Why aren't more agents writing cyber now? Why aren't more customers buying it? Well, the problems are vast. First off, coverage is incredibly complicated. Every insurance carrier words the same coverage differently. Every insurance carrier is offering different types of coverage. Oftentimes, they're going to make you package the coverage that you think that customer might need instead of providing it all in one. And those things can lead to us saying, forget it, for this much premium, it's absolutely not worth it. But the second problem is that the applications are ridiculous. If there are questions on an application that a customer doesn't understand even what the question's asking, let alone how to answer it, your customer's going to think they don't need that coverage. They're wrong. Really, what's happening is that the cyber market, particularly for small business, has grown so fast that many of the insurance carriers offering the coverage out there are using the applications for their largest customers for even their smallest insureds, and that's a mistake. So pages and pages of questions is just going to make you frustrated and not want to sell the policy. Also, along that same line, this is a small business policy. This is not going to be, necessarily $100,000 in premium to your agency or, $25,000 in commission to your agency. It doesn't mean your customer doesn't need it. So how do you balance as agents the need to provide the coverage without losing money in the process? So you got to cut back on the back and forth with underwriters. You've got to get quotes really quickly. You don't want to have to chase down premium dollars, and you don't want to waste time and effort if the premium's not really there. So why am I pointing all these things out? We are here today to talk a little bit about Wingman Insurance and what we're trying to offer you guys. Wingman is a software platform that has automated the process of quoting, purchasing, and endorsing a cyber policy in as little as a minute. We're going to talk more about this now and in the future. We have a series of webinars that are going to be coming up talking about coverage and sales tactics, and we will be at the IIAT annual convention this summer to even meet you guys in person. So I'm going to start here by giving you my 2-minute pitch on why we do things the way that we do, which is very different from anywhere else. Number one, our cyber platform, the app has exactly 6 questions in the application, 3 of which are name, address, and revenue. We are not going to make you chase down data and information from your customers, thus confusing them and making them feel like they don't need the cyber coverage. We're also going to pre-bundle a policy, a fully admitted A+ policy with state of the market coverage. We're updating it constantly with all the new things that your customers might need from a coverage standpoint that takes it all the thought out of it from you, the agent. Every policy comes prepackaged with all the coverage that we offer. We allow agents like yourselves to sign up, and onboarding is quick and easy. One of the handouts available today is our onboarding packet. It's called the IIAT New Wingman Agent Paperwork. If you fill that out and send it back to us, we can have you on the platform in as little as an hour. We can get your entire staff up and running on our system, quoting cyber for every single insured, making sure that everybody's fully covered. Policyholders pay their premium online. Once you've quoted a policy on our online system, you enter the insured's email address. We send them a secure link. They enter in their ACH or credit card information. And as soon as we get that, we issue a policy. That does 2 things for you. Number 1, you're not chasing down money. And number 2, we're not going to issue a policy until they've paid the initial premium. And finally, we have live chat and a help desk available to you at all times during the day. If you have a question about how to answer a question on the application, a coverage question from an insured, if you have a pitch coming up and you want to run through something, our staff will be there to help you through the entire process in real time and online. So here's what I'm proposing for you guys. Join our webinars, learn more about cyber coverage, about sales tips, marketing tips, and get your questions answered on our policy form. We're going to be having 3 more webinars leading up to the conference this summer. In the interim, and for everybody's staffs, we have a cadre of videos that we've already done, webinars that we've already done, demos of our computer system. They are available online at wingmaninsurance.com/videos. And then I encourage you to right now fill out that paperwork, get on our system and get quoting. The more comfortable and faster you get into the habit of trying to sell cyber, the more you're going to write. And finally, and this is hopefully the kicker that will help all of you download the paperwork that you haven't already, we pay 15% commission on all the business that we write. I got a great question that just came in, and they want to know a little bit about our policy form and what we're selling. Our online platform sells the Access Insurance Company admitted cyber policy. It is admitted in 48 states, and we can write in all of them. So while this special deal we have with the IIAT is for agents in Texas, if any of you guys do business in any other state or nationwide, we got you covered. I hope that was helpful. I just got to thank you for paying appropriate commission. My pleasure. Our firm belief is as technology has moved more and more work to the agent selling the policy, you should be paid commensurate with that. And we really do believe that at Wingman. How are claims handled? Christine asks. Well, good question, Christine. Access has an in-house group of cyber specialists in their claims department that handle the claims. Every policy that's sold comes with a free 1 hour of breach coaching from one of 3 law firms nationwide. We encourage anybody who thinks they have a breach to call those numbers immediately, get the ball rolling, whether or not they're sure if something bad has happened. So start there. I had a great example come in of an agent that was working on selling a policy. It was as easy as this. She said, at some point, we should probably talk about cyber liability insurance. You could be hacked and it's costly. Here's a quote. And within 10 minutes, she had gotten a phone call back from the insured saying, okay, I want it. And the policy was done. So it really worked out well. As for the Wingman difference, our system is the best, most efficient way to write business. I can't say that enough. I hope you guys all get a chance to see it firsthand. Does anybody have questions? I've got a bunch coming in. I'm just going to start rolling through them. Kimberly wants to know who the issuing company is. It is Axis Insurance Company. Their AM Best rating is A+15. Are specimen policies available? Yes, Ralph, specimen policies are available. Once you become a Wingman appointed agent, every state-specific specimen policy is available for download within our system. Someone wants to know basic policy comparisons. We do have some available, and we have a spreadsheet that you can fill out to look at any in particular. Some of the more common ones that we're seeing, for example, one of the ones that Jack pointed out was Chubb. And we're seeing that Chubb doesn't always include all of the coverages that they can in a quote, which is terrifying. And our policy comes fully suited out. We have not lost out, to my knowledge, on coverage. And I would also mention that I just did a policy form comparison with Chubb for someone else. And not only were we exactly half the price, but we were considerably more coverage. And as you join us and become a Wingman agent, we can get more into the specifics. And our next webinar is about coverage. And so we'll talk a lot more about that next time. Anita wants to know what minimum premium is. It's a great question. It's $692. So Deborah also wanted to know that. And so that's a really good thing to know. I would say on average, our policy premiums are about $2,500. But up to like $2 million in revenue, you're looking at about $700 for a low risk account, $1,200 for a high risk account. That's basically what we're talking about cost wise. Can you offer quote proposals before contracting with us? No, we really can't do that. We do need your paperwork to offer bindable quotes. Mark, if you have more information, shoot any one of us an email and we'll be happy to talk more about that. I see a bunch of you want handouts. No problem. We will make sure to send all the handouts to everybody who attended today as part of our follow-up. So if you have any trouble downloading them, don't worry. The next webinar date is March 17th, I'm pretty sure, but I have included the link in a follow-up email that you're all going to be receiving that's also going to have a copy of this webinar if you need it. I would also say if you want a copy of our slides for any of the data, statistics, or anything else, or to present to your internal teams, shoot us an email, Brad, my colleague, Brad at wingmanins.com, and he'll be happy to do that, to help you. I've got another question. The rating basis is based on annual receipts revenue. Yes, the answer to that is it's based on what they do and how much they make. That's how we're calculating premium amounts per policy. Cybercrime on separate policy or included. Tom asked really a wonderful question. The answer to that is if a cybercrime is like a social engineering claim or a data breach caused by cybercrime, it's going to be included on the policy. We sublimit to $250,000 for social engineering. We are working internally on some other solutions on that front, but the basic cybercrimes are included. More questions, keep them coming. These are fantastic, by the way. Now's a great time to download those handouts, ask any questions you have. Brad, did I forget to mention anything important?
Yeah, thanks, Ellie. I can't see any of the questions. No application, there's no application requirements up to 100 million in revenue. 100 million with 3 million or less in limits. Our average limit today of the many policies we write is 1.27 million. So just to give you a sense that no application up to 100 million in revenue.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed the webinar. I hope you got lots of good information from it and you're able to um, learn a lot from now and also follow along with us to the next of our webinars. You'll be receiving an email from us. Please reach out with any questions. Again, I'm Ellie Feldman. You can reach me at ellie@wingmanins.com, brad@wingmanins.com. We hope you all will become part of the Wingman family and start writing all the cyber for all your insureds. So thank you again for joining us, and thanks to the IIAT for offering such great content to its members. We hope to see you all at the conference this summer.
Thank you.
Thank you.